The stable doors groaned like something breathing. Dust drifted low across the wood-chipped floor, and the scent of sweat, livestock, and dread clogged the air. The summer heat weighed heavy on every man gathered inside. A few horses shuffled and blew through their nostrils in the stalls, but no one spared them a glance. Every gaze was fixed on the rough platform at the center of the stable. Mara Quinn stood there, her fingers clenched tight before her. The worn dress she wore had once belonged to her aunt. It sagged now, far too large for her slight build. The neckline was stained and the stitching worn thin. A broad bonnet shaded her face, though not enough to conceal the dark bruise along her cheekbone.
She didn't weep. She didn't shift.
She only stayed still and fought to breathe through the stink and the murmurs. "Last call for the unclaimed girl," the crier barked, his voice cracking through the thick air. The men watching adjusted their stance, boots scraping, spurs chiming. Some leaned against the rails, smirking. Some spit chew onto the dirt. Others simply watched. For girls had already been taken that morning. None had cried out, at least not loudly enough to matter. The crier stepped closer and lifted her chin. His grip was coarse and she recoiled, but he didn't pause. "Pure stock," he announced, turning her face toward the crowd. "Untouched, opening bid at 3 silver." The stable fell quiet. Then, from the shadows near the back, a voice sounded, low, even. 3. Heads turned. A tall man moved forward. Dust clung to his long coat. His hat brim hid his eyes. He wasn't grinning. He didn't look at her the way the others had. He simply crossed to the platform, dropped 3 coins into the crier's hand, and said, "I claim nothing." The crier stiffened. The crowd whispered. Then the cowboy, his name was Eli Mercer, stepped to the edge of the platform and did what no one expected. He knelt in the dirt before her. The entire stable stilled. Even the horses stopped shifting. Mara's breath snagged in her chest. He reached down, loosened the cracked leather ties of her boots, and placed them neatly beside her. His hands were calm, his movements careful. "You don't belong to them," he said softly. "And you don't belong to me. I only bought your silence from monsters." Her legs shook. The weight of his voice pressed heavier than the room. She didn't understand it yet, but something inside her split open. Not terror. Not disbelief. Something unfamiliar. He rose, slipped off his coat, and draped it around her shoulders. "You're free to walk out that door," he said. Then he turned his back on the crowd and headed for the exit. No one spoke. No one stopped him. Mara followed. Not because he told her to, but because, for the first time in her life, no one had. Outside, the air was cooler. The sun dipped low, setting the sky ablaze in orange and gold. A wagon waited by the fence. Eli climbed onto the driver's bench and gathered the reins. He didn't glance back, but when he spoke, his tone was steady. "You coming?" She paused, glancing back at the stable, the men, the noise, the cage she'd just escaped. Then she climbed up beside him. The wagon creaked forward, wheels groaning with every turn. They traveled in silence. The road stretched long and bare through the dry hills. The beat of the horses' hooves filled the space between them. Thunder rolled faintly in the distant mountains. Mara flinched at the sound. Eli slowed the team without comment. The quiet between them wasn't sharp like she was used to. It was soft, almost safe. After a time, he spoke again. "You can rest soon. There's a cabin ahead." When they arrived, the cabin stood small and solid beneath tall pines. Smoke curled from the chimney. He stepped down, opened the door, and stood aside. "It's warm inside," he said. "You don't have to enter if you don't want to." She looked at him, then at the cabin. The scent of pine smoke reached her, gentle and known. She stepped inside. The fire burned evenly in the hearth. 2 plates waited on the table. He went to a shelf, took down a kettle, and poured hot water into a tin cup. "There's a blanket on the chair," he said. "You can eat if you want, or sleep." She stayed still at first, fingers gripping the coat around her shoulders. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you breathe." She didn't trust it. The stillness, the gentleness. Her life had been filled with slammed doors, harsh voices, and men who only took. "Why did you bring me here?" she asked. "Because this place has no locks." She watched him sit and split the bread in half. He didn't look at her. He didn't demand anything. Slowly, she stepped forward, took the spoon he offered, and sat. The stew burned her tongue, but she kept eating. It tasted solid.
Real.
"What's your name?" she asked. "Eli Mercer." "Mara." "Good name." When the fire burned low, he laid another blanket near the hearth. "You can have the bed," he said. "I'll stay here." She shook her head. "I don't want to be touched." He nodded. "I won't touch what isn't given." For the first time in years, her body eased. Her breathing slowed. She lay near the fire, wrapped in the blanket, and closed her eyes. That night, for the first time since her aunt died, Mara slept without fear. And as the embers dimmed, Eli Mercer sat quietly in the chair, watching the flames. He had paid 3 silver coins, not to own her, but to save her. In the dark, neither knew that this moment, this fragile beginning, would change everything that followed.